Rene. I'm with Fourlane, and thank you for coming to our deep dive webinar today, where we're going to talk about Intuit field service management and service agreements. So that's the deep dive I thought I'd take today. Not a lot of people know about the service agreements or have seen them. It is an add-on app for field service management, and it's actually pretty useful. So let's get going. We're going to go right into the live app. So today we're going to cover, like I said, field service management service agreements. So we're going to talk about what a service agreement is, and then how to set one up, and then what the software does after we've set it up. So let's flip right on over to that. And back here in our field service management application, our test file. And the service agreement module in field service management is one of two add-on modules. They don't come with field service out of the box, but they can be added on to your subscription. And then we know if you have it or not, or you'll know if you have it or not by going into the settings. And then if you see preventative maintenance agreements down here on the settings tab, then you know that you have this module. So let's go into that. As with all things field service management, it starts with our customers and their job sites. So whenever I put a customer in, and we'll go into this one here. So here's my customer profile, Blue 2, and you set up all the things, or these come over from QuickBooks Enterprise or desktop as well, and it'll fill everything in for you. Every customer in field service management has at least one job site. So if it's only just a singular customer in QuickBooks, it'll only have one job site in field service management, called usually the home site. So we'll say, oops. Sorry, my mouse is fighting with me. There we go. Now, once we have our customer in and we have our sites, then, and this is just a job site record, and I can have multiples, many multiples. Once I have that in my system, now I can go in and begin to add what is called equipment in this application. And so equipment, let me go over here where I can kind of show you all at once. During the initial setup process, we would help you set up your service packages, which are the lists of types of services that you perform, and they're high-level, mid-level drill-ins. But then we also have equipment types and attributes. So the first thing we have to think about is our attributes. What does that mean? I need to either track or convey pieces of information regarding the equipment that I service, my company, right? Let's say I'm an HVAC company. The pieces of equipment that I service at my customer's job site need to have information tracked on them. What would that information be for the various types of equipment? So that's what attributes are. So I might have something like the model number, the serial number, what filter size does it use so I can take my filters with me, the manufacturer of the, let's say, air conditioning unit, so on and so forth. And I can set up as many of these as I need to for the different types of equipment that I'm going to track. And once we've set up our attributes, we can then set up equipment types. And again, this is the type of equipment that would be at my customer site. So if I'm an HVAC contractor, I probably want to track the condenser that sits outside and the furnace that sits up in my case, the attic. So I probably want to track both of those things. So I've got a furnace right here, and then I forget what we call the condenser or something funny, chiller. There we go. And so I set up these types of equipment. And then once I've set up my types of equipment, now I can go in and set up the attributes that I want to track for a chiller. And so that's how all those pieces work together. And again, this can be totally customized to whatever we want to do. Now, what do we do with all of that little information? Well, let's go back here to my customer. All right. Now that we have pieces of equipment listed on the job site, we have attributes for those pieces of equipment. Now I can sell this customer a service agreement and get it set up. Okay. So I'm going to come over here and I can add a service agreement, which I think I'll go ahead and do. Hopefully I won't dump me right now. So I'm going to call this chiller 1. What if they had multiple chillers there? I might have a maintenance agreement for each different piece of equipment, and that's okay. Or this could be my entire system. But I'm going to name it nonetheless the way I want to. The creation date is today. It filled that in for me. Who sold it? I don't care. I mean, I guess I could put me. Then my maintenance agreement instructions. So we're going to say clean the condenser every 3 months and replace the filters. Thank goodness for spell check. I can also set a preferred technician here. If there's somebody that normally works with them, you could go ahead and note that right here. And also a backup technician. So I'm going to hit next on that. So now it wants to know what pieces of equipment am I going to cover, and there is already some equipment there. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the chiller that's there. Okay. And this is just some information that we've decided we wanted to track. This would be different for everybody, but I probably want to note when the installation date was, because that can be important for warranties, right? On here, I'll put 1/15/2020. There we go. And the model, and then there's my filter size, so I know what filters to take, manufacturer, so on and so forth. I have had another client, and one of the things they like to track is the number of hours on a given piece of machinery. I do chicken processing, and they like to know the numbers of hours on the machine because the machine requires very specific types of maintenance at each, let's say, 10,000 hours of use, right? So that's something else we had set up to track. Anyway, I don't think there's any limit to what we could set up here. So I'm going to say okay right there. So let's go to next. There we go. And now we're getting into the bones of the maintenance agreement for this particular piece of equipment at this particular client's job site. So contract duration, how many years? I'll go ahead and say it's a year. Start date 7/17. Okay, I can change that if I wanted to, but we'll go ahead and put it 7/17. And then my checklist interval, monthly. I have choices of weekly or seasonal, but I'm going to go ahead and do monthly. And you'll see then in a minute what that's going to do. So here I have a chiller checklist, but I could also add checklists. Building the checklist doesn't happen right here. That happens elsewhere, and I'm not going to go through that. But there, I'll go ahead and choose that one. So I want to do this checklist every 3 months because I'm going to go out quarterly. So every 3 months for 4 visits starting in July of 2024. Okay. And then there's kind of a summary of what we've already put in there. I'll click OK. That brings me to this screen, which allows me to see what the system, and this is the point of the service agreement. The system's going to go in and look at the parameters I've set up, and it's going to auto create a work order at each of those dates. So July of 24, October, January, and April. There is some settings when we're first setting the system up that says how far ahead of time do you want those automatically created work orders to populate. Usually we say 7 days, but I mean, I'm sure it could be up to 30 days would be fine. So we go ahead and put those those things in there, and then I can also click into this and go ahead and schedule the work order. So I want to schedule this visit to occur on day blank of any day. So let's do that. And I'm going to have it, what's today, 17th. I'm going to have it set up to start on the 20th day. So see if it'll go ahead and populate for us. And I'm going to go ahead and put it at 8 a.m. There we go. And then the rest of the visits will follow that schedule. Now, this information in the visit details, that duration and skill level, those are set up in our original onboarding for the type of service that this is going to be, but you could override it at the time of sending out that work order. So it's just filling in what we told it to up front as a baseline. Let's say okay right there. And now I've got my schedules all set up. Everything's good to go. So we'll go to next. This is the contract price. You could go ahead and put it on here if we had sold, if we were selling this on a work order. But I don't have to. I could have sold this. May have a sales team that works completely separately from the system, and those orders may already be in QuickBooks, right? And I'm just handling the scheduling side. So that piece is to be determined by your own workflow. Then the next section, so let's say my contract price is they paid $100, right? Great, that's fantastic. Then when I go out, do I charge the customer for each of these 4 visits? So let's say I have a work order, a service agreement, and I pay $100 a year. And then when my technician comes out, instead of paying $150 for the visit, I only have to pay $50. I can put that in right there, and it'll go ahead and put that in the work order for me. Or I can say, I don't want to charge the customer anything, or I need to charge them the whole 100, whatever. Sometimes when we have service agreements, there's sort of a prepaid plan, right? And we don't charge for them. And that's okay to do as well. So I'll go ahead and do that. Then we have do not automatically create invoices for the service agreement. That's also something you could choose. And then they can just put the parts they used on the work order, the tech could, once they're out at the site. And if we're still not going to charge the customer for those parts, or maybe part of our agreement is that they get 15% off of parts used, that all can be handled as well on the work order and in the setup. So because I'm asking it to charge $50. I want the invoice to use an item. I think there's probably one in here called PM. Let me look. I'll go ahead and just pick one of these. I'll just add this one. All right. And I'll just use this one right here. Okay. And then if there's a discount instructions for these calls, I could say I want to do 15% discount to parts and add those instructions in there. And then I finish. Oh, contract amount is less than what is invoiced. Yes, I'm happy with that. It was just making sure I wasn't making a mistake, which is fantastic. Okay, so we've set up a service agreement. Let me refresh this and see if it's already created that work order for me. And this would be, should be needs to be scheduled. Let's go to not narrowed down. So let me tell you what I'm looking at. This is our test file. There's a lot of stuff I should have probably paid more attention on this or cleaned up. So these are work orders that are still sitting out open. Mine would not be red, so that I need to find that one. But red means it's overdue. And mine, the one we just made, would not be overdue. But over here, we have the different types of work orders, and the way we set ours up is P means preventative maintenance. So when these work orders are being made, to make it easy for my dispatch team to go ahead and do the, sorry, I can't talk and click at the same time. To make it easy for my scheduling people, we've got it set up with the P so that it's easy to come in here and filter and see which ones are coming up that need to be scheduled with the client themselves. So let's go here, see if that makes life any easier. And I have no idea how many there are actually out there, so bear with. Really need to come cancel some things. There we go. I think it's going to be this one. Ooh. So I'm going to say it hasn't made it yet. All right, let's go back. To there. Oh, right there. Yep, there it is right there. It did make it. Okay, I'm going to click in there. I'm on the customer page, by the way, so let's take a look at that one. So there's the work order it has created. My client, my site. The problem is it's a PM and they're going to go work on the chiller. Let's look in here. So the invoice side, it's added that labor rate at $50, just like we had asked it to. Remember too that I don't know if you noticed, but the price from QuickBooks for an hour's labor was like $150 or $210, but it's put it at the price we asked it to on that maintenance agreement. So that's updating for me. Now let's go ahead. I see my discount instructions are right here. Apply 15% to parts. So let's say I've gone and done my work and I had to put in a part of some sort. There we go. And I'm going to have it use this one, I think. I could put as many as I want. Maybe I use this as well. We'll close that. And then discount percent is 15. Calculate tax before. Okay, I don't care about the tax really. And this needs a price. $20. All right, so $95. There's my discount. Let's get this direction. No, close that. Let's save. It's not applying my discount. There we go. I'll put the glass on. Could have had all that done ahead of time. There we go. Save it one more time. Guess it's going to make me just calculate this all by myself. I don't think that's normal though. So I'm going to say I've got a messed up setting someplace. So 25 times 0.85. So 2125. That should be 17. There we go. Doesn't like that I have no description. Again, that should come over from QuickBooks. I shouldn't have to fill that in, but your people can fill in other things there if you want them to. So that's saved. And now that work order is done, and it will calculate another one for me in 3 months and pop it in again to the same place in the work orders. So another tip I can give you, somebody go ahead and stay on top of looking at their old work orders and maybe cancel them out if they're never happening. Yours won't look as bad as mine because I'm in here a lot. That's my tips for today. We've gone over what a service agreement is, how do you set one up in field service management, and what FSM does once it's been set up, and that is to automatically schedule your maintenance agreements that you've sold to your customers. You can reach out to us at any time through our website, fourlane.com, and we sure would love to hear from you. Thank you all so much.